going on for another out of nowhere breakdown, even though we planned it yesterday. I am Lou Betcha. I am your host. I am the Paragon of Virtue, joined finally after months of trying to get this show together by my guy Rich, aka Just Win Baby, on a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. Rich, how you doing? How you like this card? How many plates do you have in the background? I've always wanted to know.
They're little mirrors, man. It's my missus. She thinks she's the interior designer of the place. But yeah, I love the card, man, and it has been a long time coming. I made a special effort to get on. I'm lazy with these shows. I've done a handful since I've been on Twitter. Liam, Chronic Combat, and the rest of it. So yeah, adding you to the list, bro. You're very worthy of it. One of the few people I speak to. So let's break this shit down, man.
Well, we're both known lunatics, so I think that's all right. Just giving a shout out. Mushroom's been here since like the store opened. We got Chronic in the chat. We got our guy Moyes. Got Glenbot all the way from Scotland. Uncle Wheezy, who we were both bothering last night. Lois Labrador shouting out from London. We got Thomas Shun here. And then, of course, Moyes just again. Proper Giza. A proper goosing is what I said. We used to call it back in my day, since I was born in like the 30s. When you would hit on a woman, it was you'd give her a proper goosing for Secretary's Day. But I made banners and all this shit. So without further ado, and we got my guy Subhuman. He's also waiting for soccer. Yes, Rich is probably just taking over the show at 3:01 when I totally space out and start paying attention to the Chelsea Aston Villa game. I'm kidding. We got a bantamweight fight to start. Daniel Marcos against the Richie Lang. Marcos minus 250. This line has been steamed. Under 2.5 plus money. I'm going to go first just because I know you have way more to say about this fight than I do.
Yep.
Typically for me, I do not like betting big favorites that really don't have grappling upside on a fight that's favored to go the distance. It's just kind of a system play for me. If you got Marcos at minus 180 range, like, hey, you did your job. For me, this is just a pass fight. The over is not even worth it. If anything, I would say if Richie Lang is kind of avoiding the leg kicks of Marcos, because that's what I would worry about the most. If Marcos isn't landing a lot of leg kicks in the first round, you get a good live entry spot on Richie Lang at this range or like close to it, plus 170 after one. I may look to act there, but it's dog or pass for me here. Probably a pass, but I know that you have way stronger feelings about this one than I do.
Yeah, well, he happens to be much of the week, Marcos. So yeah, I'm quite high on Arichi. I think he gets it done. I said decision initially. That's been steamed. It was 450. I think it's down to like 350 now. Yeah, I'm not worried about this fight whatsoever in any area. I don't think Marcos has got him covered. In fact, I think he's going to show low IQ. And to put it into like one simple phrase, I just think that Marcos isn't going to do the things that you need to do to beat Aori. And that is smother him, mix in the takedowns, push him against the fence, make it dirty. What he's going to do is keep it at range, do his little kickboxing shit with no power. And it's going to give Aori 15 minutes to land something significant or win the decision, which is how I think it will be. I think he will outwork Marcos. Marcos won't go for takedowns, which he should in this fight. I like the gas tank on it, Aori, and I like the dip, man. And also, when I'm picking these mush spots, a lot of people chime in the comments and say, no, you're wrong. It's this guy because more people on Twitter are on him or bet MMA. It doesn't work like that. There are many factors. One of them is who the majority of Twitter are betting. But there are 3 horsemen on Twitter, 3 retards. I watch to see what they're betting each week, and all 3 of them have blessed me this week, and they're all betting Marcos. So they've spoken. He's mush of the week. Aori's going to win.
There you go. I will add one thing I forgot to say is that Brandon Olivas, who obviously has insights into the camp at Fight Ready with those guys, has said that he's looking, and I know Olivas is going to support his teammates. So like, I fully understand that saying this, but has said how this is the best he's ever seen him look this week. So if there was ever a concern about Richie Lang, it's like the cardio issues, maybe down the stretch, like against Jay Perrin, like that wasn't a good look. Obviously the knockout against the Hobby was not a good look, but this is a totally different stylistic fight in terms of the striking. If his cardio is good in the third, like, I mean, I never want to be holding a minus 250 ticket if my guy's just not death gassed, but certainly getting outlanded in the third. I never want that as a look. So I know you don't either.
But, I like that from Olivas. Although I don't get on with him and don't like him, I think he's a closet homosexual. But he does know he's
now's the time. And now's the time for the banner.
perfect timing. Yeah, but he does know his shit when it comes to fighting. And I don't usually watch many podcasts, but those guys are pretty switched on, him and Santino. So that's good to know, man.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. You will start this one. We got a featherweight fight. Amil against his third scheduled opponent since he got booked in this card, in Fernie Garcia. Amil, almost a 2-1 favorite. Very juiced under, almost assuredly due to, I knew Wheezy would absolutely love that banner that I did. Protect our legal team hard at work at the channel. Under 2.5, juice huge. Solely, you have to think because of Garcia's toughness. But I will let you take this one away to start, as we'll alternate.
Yeah, well, styles make fights, man, and I love that underline, 170, 180, whatever it was. Fight doesn't go the distance, plus 150. Love that too. And I think Amil gets him out of there. The short notice is too much, in my opinion. Hyder just goes ham from the get-go, in your face, pressure, and I just think that it's going to wane on Garcia. And come round 2 or 3, Hyder is going to get his TKO. I do worry about Amil, though, because he does have a deficiency in the wrestling department. He's pretty shit there, to be honest. And Garcia's got some regional subs. I see him try and hit a guillotine on the Japanese fellow, Korean fellow, whatever he was in his last fight. He almost got that. So I think a sneaky play is Garcia's sub. He could catch a guillotine on a takedown because Hyder, like I say, he just goes balls to the wall without caution. But what's most likely going to happen is round 2 or 3, Amil's going to get his TKO. But them unders, man, that's some juicy lines, man.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add there. I mean, Fernie Garcia is we would, I don't know if you were ever like a big, I think we've talked, if you were like ever old school wrestling fan, he's introduced as in the ring to my left. He's just already in the ring as they bring the guy out. Like he's being set up here just to be a jobber so they can get Amil a win. And for Garcia, this is smart because if you take these short notice fights and you're on a losing streak, this is where Dana White just says, you know what? I'll give you another 3-fight contract. Like
not in this case.
I don't know, dude. Chase Sherman like lived off that shit for 7 years. He'd take a short notice fight, he'd die, and they'd be like, "Give you 2 more fights." Heavyweight, of course, you need more bodies, but they're trying to work on that now in the Contender Series by literally signing anybody at fights heavyweight, except for that Slafarsky guy who was like the worst fucking guy in like the history of the show.
Do you know what I think it is with Garcia? I think they brought him in with the 20 other Mexicans to see how they've done, and he's just bottom of the barrel. Didn't turn out to be a good apple, so I think he's very expendable. And
but at least he's tough. So at least for the most part, they love that he's toughness. Like the Nakamura fight, dude. I don't know how he didn't. And I deep prop there. I'm like,
is that tough though? I don't think that's tough, man. I think that's surviving, playing, fighting for a decision, and I don't like to see it, man. And I think that Nakamura guy, yeah, he was pushing the pace and doing his thing, but he ain't going to push the pace like Amil is. He literally fights for retard Hyder, and he's going to go for it.
So I like Amil here as the side. I'm not going to get cute. The 190 is fine for me. I don't love juiced plays, but I think it should be a lot wider than that. And the last thing I'll say, just to add to something you said, is on his Contender Series fight, like, yeah, he got taken down 5 times, but dude, Sanmez was like fucking relentless to the point where like you just knew it was coming every time. I don't know what I think of Amil's takedown defense. I think he did some good things in the Contender Series, but I think a good enough wrestler that's going to time them well might be able to have a lot of success here. We just don't know. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it's as bad as you do, but I'm not willing to say it's great because he stuffed 18 takedowns when they were just telegraphed by the 3rd round of that fight.
Well, I can tell you this much: Garcia isn't going to attempt 1 takedown, so he's fine for this fight.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to a hilarious, a ridiculous, hilarious fight that I have a take on, and that's Zach Poga against Bogdan Guskov at light heavyweight. Poga, a very slight favorite, under 1.5 minus 115, which is very interesting because you would figure the finishing upside is all on the Guskov side, as Poga could not even finish Jordan Wright, which is really hard to do.
I don't even think he tried to.
He did. He was happy to just cage push. So here's where I'm at with this, and I'm not going to break this down from a technical perspective. Guskov was getting a lot of love his last fight against Özdemir. A lot of people said, dude, don't sleep on this guy. Yeah, he's only had 1 round fights, but like this dude's got serious power. He's got some grappling upside, like everything. He closed at plus 145 against Volkan Özdemir. And then he got like demolished by Özdemir, who is like legit a top 7 guy, let's say. Like he's a good gatekeeper. I think he's a very good gatekeeper at like worst. Like Özdemir's got some skill. He's got some power, showed some grappling equity. Like I like Özdemir. What would you line Özdemir against Zach Pauga? Is he minus infinity? Is he 800? Like what is he? He crushed Pauga. Pauga's chin isn't good. Like Walmart Usman knocked this dude out. Like who has no striking and just hit him once and he was done. I mean, Bogdan absolutely has that power. Now, look, I don't want to ever bet Zach Pauga. I don't. Like, so to me, it's Bogdan or pass. When they open these odds up, it'll probably be tomorrow morning. I want to play around with because the Bogdan in the distance is barely more than his money line, but I want to see like Bogdan in under 1.5, maybe Bogdan around 1, round 2. Like, let me see what kind of number I can get. If I can get it to like plus 140, 145, I'm in. I think he's the side. I don't do DraftKings content. That's from the Thursday show. That's Monk. But I feel like this is a dude that's going to have a lot of upside because his win condition is like murder.
Yeah.
Like, and if he doesn't get it, he still may win a decision if he does enough in 7-8 minutes. He could, if Pauga shows some toughness, dude, even the draws in play, like he could 10-8 Pauga in the first, and then Pauga's going to cage push him for 10 minutes. And maybe you get a draw and then a needless fucking rematch of this fight. But the pick for me is Guskov, mostly because I don't understand how he's gone from plus 145 against Özdemir, which I guess they realized was a bad line, to only 40 points cheaper here. Like that to me doesn't make sense. They're begging me to take Guskov and I'm going to take the bait. But I'm sure you'll give us a more technical reason for one way or the other.
Actually, I haven't got much on this one. The only thing I really think is this is Dana sending in his hitman to fucking rid us of Poga, because Poga's shown us what he is now in his last 2-3 fights, and Dana doesn't like that style, man. I've seen it before with fighters. I remember I mentioned this on my pod. Jake Shields back in the day, he had like a 4-fight winning streak against beasts. He lost 1 fight by split decision, and they fucked him off because he's boring. So yeah, they don't like this style, man, and I think they're sending Guskov in there to get the job done. Again, like I mentioned earlier with Aori, I think he's going to have 15 minutes to do it because I don't think Poga can get him down. We've seen in the right fight, he just likes to push against the fence, doesn't even go for the double legs or the singles. And I think it's going to be similar to the Usman fight where it's just a fast jab, a fast strike. Guskov, he's green as fuck. He's regional tape shit, but he's got fast hands. He can throw a punch. He can bang. He's got power. So, yeah, I think it could be like a one-hit quitter type thing. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Round 1, KO. See what the numbers are.
I mean, Poga is just,
he's the worst, man.
Seems like a night. Here, I'll do something nice. I'll say that he seems like a very nice human being when I've seen his interviews. So, like, that's the best he's gonna get here. But yeah, that Jordan Wright fight, man, and like, I think I might have had like an under 1.5, but I know that people had like fight doesn't go parlayed, and Uncle Weezy, if I'm not mistaken, even gave out on the show. He's like, it's stupid not to put like a quarter unit on fight goes the distance because it was something like plus 700.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. And the people that were parlaying the fight doesn't go, it's like, again, like, why are you parlaying? Like, fucking, like, you want to add Bo Nickel to your parlay too? Like, what are you doing, man? You don't really, you're not getting any value. Like, for, I don't need to put the banner up for that. Like, you just don't get any value for that. I don't like that style, but yeah, I remember even the under 1.5 was still stupid for me to bet it. I think it was like minus 230, and I'm like, God damn it, what a dumb fucking play that was. But all right, we may have our first disagreement on this, although I'm not sure because we'll see. But we got a welterweight fight at 170. The pride of Philadelphia, not named Mushroom, Jeremiah Wells, versus Max Payne Griffin, both in their late 30s. So to me, I call them kids. A lot of steam has come in on Griffin. He's down to plus 136. Wells, minus 156. These odds were taken this morning, by the way. Obviously, check your books. I've seen Wells as high as minus 170 on some books. So your mileage may vary with these numbers. Under 2.5 is very interesting that it's set at this number because Max Griffin fights typically they don't finish. So it's kind of interesting that this is shaded like dead even. But I'll let you take it away. I think I know who you got here, but we'll see what you got.
I'm betting on the black one. Okay,
Good pick.
so
Solid.
I like Griffin, man. Is that who you figured I'd take?
We talked about it. We're gonna have a disagreement on one part here. But you'll see.
Okay.
You'll say.
Yeah, so I like Griffin, and the reason is he doesn't get slept, and he doesn't get held down. The last time he got held down was Kobe back in the day, and even he struggled, man. That was kind of like an attrition type finish. So I don't think Wells is going to have any success. I don't like Wells recently. He seems to kind of like enjoy laying, praying. That seems to be his thing. And it almost worked out for him against Harris, man. He was close to getting that decision. But I don't think he can do that here against Griffin. I think he's going to have a decent takedown defense, negate it all. And again, live for the KO in range 2 or 3. I just don't like the whole process from Wells. Just a weird fucker, man. And then after his last fight, I heard him speak and he's kind of got that Mike Tyson voice. That kind of threw me off as well. So yeah, he's full of surprises, man. I remember the Blood Diamond fight, had him by sub. I cashed, but fuck me, he made me sweat, man. I don't know what he was doing. He was just doing laps around the ring as soon as the fight started. Wild guy, man. Not someone I really want my money on. You know, one fight he's got excellent cardio. Then the next fight he's fucking, you know, throwing bombs repeatedly in round 1 and then just death gases. So I like Griffin. Got him at like 160, I think it was. I did tell everyone that the line was going to drop down, and you know, Max would end up being about plus 120. So we'll see how far that line goes, man. But yeah, I like Griffin in this spot.
I mean, you got to give Wells credit for one thing. He's the only guy that's ever submitted Blood Diamond. Nobody else has ever submitted Mike Mathetha except for Jeremiah Wells. So I don't disagree on the pick, but I disagree on the method. And I think that Griffin at plus 400 is really stupid, knowing like just kind of his fight style. So one thing that Griffin does really well, that like, look, I know they're the same age, but Griffin is definitely a little more battle worn, but he's also more battle tested. I feel like Wells is a really young 37 for like his fight career.
Yeah.
If you look at his, like, does he have explosive knockouts? Like, yeah, he knocked out Court McGee, who's has really good durability, but is getting older. Dude, Semmelsberger cracked him twice. He showed really good toughness to stay in that fight. Like, I think the dude's tough, but it shows, just like Carlston Harris, he's prone to making mistakes, and he's a horrible minute winner. Griffin, you know, look, he's not like the most high volume guy, but he does mix in takedowns. The only guy that was ever really taking him down, like he's a 70% takedown defense. Tim Means had success, and I'm like a Tim Means fucking stan, man. Like I love Tim. He's everything I want in a fighter. Like great hair, absurd look, like just weird tough guy shit. I love. Hey, you calm down, Melon. Like Melon's got the locks for everything in chat. What I love is Griffin rolls with punches really well. Like even Morales, like, and I like Michael Morales. I think he's got like a bright future. Like he's just young and he's unrefined. Give him time. He might be good. He's a really good athlete, but we'll see. Look, he's had 2 fights in a row. The Matthews fight, he's on the shit list for the way he did that fight, but he couldn't really crack Griffin repeatedly. Griffin did a really good job. Like not even completely staying out of range, but not getting hit flush. And I think that for Wells to have any success in this fight, he'd either have to get a lot of grappling going, which I don't think he'll be able to do, or he has to just land the knockout shot, which a lot of dudes have had problems with Griffin. I think he is really good at staying out of that big shot. And in the meantime, I think Griffin's just going to chip away. He may even mix a takedown of his own if he thinks Wells is getting tired. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised the 3rd round is Griffin just getting him down and chewing up the clock and eating up minutes. That's why I don't like the finish. I see people like the round 3. We can compromise. Round 3 decision. It's probably plus 250. Like, I don't hate it. Griffin's not going to get a round 1 finish. I'd be shocked if he does. I'm not going to say I'm going to eat my shoe. I'd be very surprised if Griffin got a round 1 finish. You and I have talked about this. He's an attritional finisher. He's not a one-hit guy. But if Wells is tired, I don't care who you are, you can be knocked out in one shot. So I do think that maybe late, but I lean decision at plus 400. I just think it's kind of if you like Griffin for the way he fights, like, I don't know, man. That's why I said this over-under is really baffling to me.
That is a nice number.
I think for 400, it's like, it's worth a poke. At this point, man, I mean, I have to lock. That's why I haven't locked in a bet yet, because I think this Wells number might get to the point where there's going to be buyback. So I'm going to kind of see if this thing gets to 125, 120, I'll bet Griffin. I'll eat the fact that I got a horrible number. But I still think there's going to be a little bit of buyback back on Wells if he gets to 145 range. So we'll see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I do have, you can't see it, but I have a reverse CLV trophy behind me. So, and now we got another absolute banger at light heavyweight. Devin Clark against Marcin Prachnio. I refuse to take a lot of time on this fight, but I do have a prop. And that is now I'm taking the round 3 prop. I like Devin Clark round 3. He's another attritional finisher. He has a really clear path here. Look, man, I don't love taking Devin Clark minus 220. But Prachnio, man, he's horrible off his back. He does not throw enough volume to really bother Devin Clark. He's always taking backward steps. I mean, even that fight against William Knight, where Knight just didn't want to be there, Prachnio wasn't like unloading on him. He'd like hit him. He'd take a step back. He'd dance. He'd hit him again. Like, he's no killer instinct. I mean, Devin Clark can be brutalized by decent light heavyweights, by decent heavyweights. Like, he can. But I think Clark just gets him down, wears on him. I don't love Prachnio's cardio. I don't like his get-up game at all. Who did we just see? Petrosyan, who had like no grappling background, except for like the few attempts against the Pleasure Man. Just had his way with him. Prachnio had no fucking answers for this guy on the ground. I think Clark's a way better wrestler. We've seen him be proactive about it. Like, I don't think he's the worst fight IQ guy. He's not the highest fight IQ guy, but he's going to know. And his dad will be yelling at him incessantly to go for takedowns. And I think Clark very easily, I think the round 3, maybe I didn't write it down. I think it was like plus 1,300 for the round 3 KO, but I like that a lot. And I think he's a pretty safe parlay piece. But
yeah, I imagine you get good numbers because he's not usually a finisher. So yeah, I'm with the same, bro. I won't add too much. I like him to finish Clark, ITD round 2 or 3, just because the takedowns are going to come. Prachnio, you're right. His IQ that he's shown in fights is pretty disgusting. When he came in, just walking headfirst onto Sam Alvey's punches. And then, yeah, like you said, even in the William Knight fight, I think he was just happy to get a W. He was like, shit, I can just do this for 3 rounds and get a win without having to, take any risk. I'll take it. So, yeah, not a fan of him, to be honest. But I'm not a fan of Clark either. He always does something fucked up. But it's usually against people with grappling, and Prachnio doesn't have it. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
All right. I think my shit's completely out of order here now for the next fight for my notes. Oh, there it is.
I've got Loma.
I got it. No, I got it. It's Loma. I just did so I was giving you a breakdown from a different fight. That's awesome. It's awesome that I wrote the same break. No, it's not true. But at strawweight, Loma Lookboonmee minus 280 against Bruno Brazil plus 240, under 2.5 plus 170 for this one. I believe you start this one. So go ahead. You said you have Loma, and I'm sure you're going to tell us why.
Yeah, so I like Loma. Not keen on a money line number. I do think she finishes this fight. I think Brazil is one of the worst people on the roster. When I was doing my research, I found out she was a gamer playing fucking Spider-Man for hours on end. I don't like that. I think it's a bit geeky for a fighter. No fucking offense to the chat.
It's not a good base for, you don't think that's a good base for MMA?
Exactly.
Gaming.
You know what I mean? She should be in the fucking gym. So yeah, but that aside, just style wise, I don't like her. I don't think she's, quote unquote, a fighter. I think when she gets hit, she doesn't like it. You can see it in her eyes, man. That's my take on it anyway. So yeah, I think one good crack by Loma, and she's going to turn her back, shell up, get discouraged, and Loma's going to put it on her. There is a massive discrepancy in the height and reach. I don't think that's going to matter, to be honest, in this fight. Yeah, I think Loma's far more technical. I think she knows how to close the range. It's in the small cage as well, which favors Loma. Could be the sub, could be the KO, so you got to be careful if you're going to try and get cute. But yeah, I like Loma ITD, man. And I think she just fucks this girl up. I don't like Brazil.
Yeah, I don't like Brazil's get-up game. And like, look, I know Loma's been working on her grappling, but like, I feel like people still think it's a new thing. And if you go back in her last 4 fights, she had 4 takedowns against Sam Hughes, who has great cardio, and like Sam Hughes is improving. Like Sam Hughes is never going to be like a top 5, but she's improving. She's got really good cardio, and she goes for tons of like grappling exchanges. So I like that Loma was not afraid of that. 4 takedowns against her, 4 takedowns against Denise Gomes. Gomes is trash. It's fine. 2 takedowns against
performance.
It's a great performance, and Gomes is tough too. Like, but like, you know, she was kind of fish out of water there. Only 2 takedowns against Elise Reed because that's all she needed to put her away, and then 1 takedown against Loopy, who is like a giant compared to her, and is a better grappler. So even the fact that she's going for takedowns in that fight, that's the commitment now. That's 4 fights in a row where you've seen a commitment to the takedowns. I think that'll be the path here. I'm going to give out a different way to get cute with this. I don't know how your books work over in Europe, like with same game parlays. I don't know if they offer. I know Bet Online will sometimes offer these props. I like if you can add like Loma and 1+ takedown in the first round, you're going to get a nice price for that. You might get this fight even down to even money.
Oh, okay.
Like, and then you're not even worried about the finish. And I loved adding that 1+ takedown like in the first round, because especially in a fight like this, because guess what? If there hasn't been a takedown in the first round, I don't really like my Loma ticket so much at that point either. So I think they're correlated. You may not get like plus money, but I think you definitely get this line down at probably like 130, 140 in a correlated result to the takedowns with Loma. Brazil's not going for takedowns here. If she does, that's awesome. You might not win your bet though, because then Luke Boomy may just get a reversal, and that'll be the end of the fight.
Yeah, I'd expect that to happen if Brazil wanted to go for a takedown. She'd get reversed. But yeah, I think Loma's a good parlay piece on the card. So without giving my fucking bets away, say no more.
All right, we'll move on. I don't have like any information here. Hold on a second. No, Brazil would not. I mean, could Brazil could probably beat Elise Reed? Probably. Not definitely, but probably.
I don't know. I'd take Reed. The takedown threat.
The only thing I would take Reed to is a nice dinner and then never call her again afterwards.
Yeah, leave her.
She looks like somebody in Pennsylvania, in like Western Pennsylvania. We have Dutch country out here, so like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's like Amish country, and I feel like Elise Reed could be like the mayor of the Amish, with like the fact that she's never been exposed to the sun, and she looks like a Mona Lisa, but not painted by a professional painter.
Has she been cut?
She been what?
Is she still with us? So has she been cut?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I feel like she's lost the last 5 fights without.
Yeah, but they'll just keep her around as like, again, they need to have bodies at strawweight right now, so they'll just keep her as a fucking jobber till like until next year's Dana White's Contender Series, when they get like 10 more strawweights in there, and they're like, all right, now you can go. But all right, so this is the short notice fight. We got Oki against Kwamba. We don't know if it's at 155. Tapology says it is. It probably will be. I know Kwamba fights at 145, so short notice nature, it's probably at 155. I have nothing to add to this. I know that Rich did a 1-minute breakdown on his channel, and he told me his bet beforehand. So Rich, let it rip, dude. This is all you.
It was actually a 49-second minute breakdown.
Sorry.
But yeah. Yeah, I think it is 155 because that's what Oki was at. So I can't see him being like, yeah, I'll drop 10 pounds within 4 days. So yeah, I think it's 155. Anyway, I think Oki is shit, to be honest. I think he got lucky in his Dana White Contender Series fight that Salvador backed up to the cage and allowed him to rip on him. If you go and watch his regional tape, he's very green. When things don't go his way, I've seen him go for takedowns and try and blanket people and try and win that way. I think that's going to happen here against Timmy. I think he's going to spar for maybe 3-4 minutes, and then he's going to try and take him down. And I think that's his downfall, man. He's going to try and take Timmy down, get reversed, and I think he's going to get subbed. So I really like Timmy by sub. I think it's going to be a sharp play. Now that people have seen this, they're all going to fucking jump on it. But yeah, I think Aoki sucks. Oki sucks. I think he's a double white belt from what I've seen from his tape.
Melon told you. He told you.
when he goes on his fucking Instagram, he's there taking pictures like a fanboy with everyone he meets in the gym. Like, you know, he needs to get a picture quick because he knows his career isn't going to be that long to put on his mantelpiece. So, yeah, I like Timmy. He's an Ali Sleaze guy as well. Dominance MMA. I like that kind of narrative sometimes, especially for the younger fighters. So, yeah, Timmy, man, he's plus money. If anyone wants to get in the chat and let us know what he is currently, because I know that number's only just come out.
Okay.
So,
it's still, I still don't see it on fight odds, but
no, just bet online. They're the only ones who've got it. You got to go to the site. But it was plus 135 for Timmy last time I looked.
Really? Oh, they gave him. All right.
Yeah.
I would advise with this one, because I think everything you're saying is the right idea. This is something where, like, I definitely want to see the scales with the short notice, but plus Kwamba can be had at plus 165 right now.
Well, the metrics are the same, so it's probably a case of you know, when he fights at 145, he's cutting weight, you know, a little weight cheat to be heavier in there. So I think he'd be fine at 155.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's one also. I don't have to rush to the market too. I don't think that line's going to, I think if anything, Oki's going to get the early steam.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm good kind of seeing how the market responds. Officer Giles versus Carlos Prates. This is a welterweight fight. Prates can be had at minus 260. He's a very big favorite for making his debut. The under 1.5 is plus 110. That would seem to play into a Prates win condition. I'll start this one off. I think that Giles has a path for sure. Like, I think if this fight goes on, Prates cardio, man, everything he throws is just so hard. The guy does not throw soft jabs. He's throwing absolute heat. And when you do that style, you get tired. Like, and you're not built to fight 15 minutes. I don't love what Giles is kind of looking like right now. And like the leads and win aside, like Giles is really good at winning boring fights. That Kosei fight was like fucking disgraceful. It was awful. Preston Parsons, and I had a bet on that fight, and like I felt robbed. I went back and watched it. And like, I don't feel robbed. I feel like I made a dumb bet, maybe. I think Giles did enough to beat him, but Parsons is not a guy with any striking. Like, he's a grappler, and Giles just did well on the grappling exchanges. Also, that fight was in Houston, I believe. So Giles got some hometown. He got some home cooking with the judges, maybe. So, yeah. But like Giles is the dude they bring in just to like die to certain fighters to see if they're like your boy Michael Morales we just talked about. You know, Morales came in and cooked them. I think they assume that Prates is going to come in and cook them, and I understand that. And I'm gonna pick Prates by KO probably within the first 2 rounds to do it. But this is another fight where if you can get a live entry after 1 on Giles, if Giles is still hanging around, as this fight goes on, might get some grappling. He's going to make it ugly. He might win some minutes late. And, you know, like I've said on the show earlier today, I don't know if I want to be holding a Prates ticket in the 3rd round. This thing hits the 3rd. I don't want that minus 260 ticket. So Prates by KO is the pick. And almost assuredly a bet, but definitely the option like to look for a live hedge out if Prates doesn't get it done early. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I disagree on is making a play on Prates. You know, it's not my style, man, with these guys coming off Dana White Contender Series, you know, chalk in their debut. And although I'll tell you what I think is important in this one. The fact that Giles isn't on steroids, Prates is. That's one thing. Giles hasn't...
Allegedly, but also really.
Yeah, well, they can sue me. I don't give a fuck. He's on steroids. Giles isn't. He's a little tubby shit, part-time police officer. You're right. He's being brought into the slaughter. He's a bit chinny. But yeah, I just don't want to play the other side. I don't even think the number's that good on the KO, to be honest. Maybe decision would be a sharp play for Prates as we're talking about it. So I might look at that. If anyone knows what the number is for that one, I'd be interested. But yeah, there's
Prates decision.
Yeah, what's that, man?
It is at plus 550.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I'll do some more research. But yeah, I like that look. There's some underdog spots on this card, but Giles isn't one in my opinion. So it isn't for me, man.
This like I'm bringing this up because for anybody that knows, I've been watching all these like goddamn, like I call the show "Bitches Getting Arrested." Like
I watched it, man.
Oh, like people getting busted shoplifting, and now like last night I was watching sovereign citizens get tased in the sack, and like I don't know, man. Like Rich, when you get into your mid-40s, like I hope this does not happen to you.
I'm
I hope
nearly
you don't
there.
evolve into this nonsense, but I want to see Giles on one of these videos getting like owned. It'd be hilarious to me, but we move on. And this is a great fight. Now, I have no idea with a lot of these fights, so I tried not to watch your video this week. I don't like to know what my guest has. I gave it a thumbs up. I will watch it. I try to support all my people in the community that I respect. And also, you're making 22-minute videos now, so like, no excuse not to go watch your videos each and every week. But I try not to watch until the show because I don't want to know. You and I have talked about a couple of fights this week. That's why I knew like Griffin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you will start us off here. Adolfo Vieira against Arn Petrosyan. Pick 'em line at middleweight. Rescheduled fight. Is this December they were supposed to do this?
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, in Brazil, yeah.
Under 2.5 minus 157. I think the under 1.5 is like a shade, like about plus 110. It doesn't matter what I put up there. But very curious to hear what you think on this one. And I know a couple of your horsemen are on one side this week, which makes me very nervous for what I'm going to say.
All right. Well, yeah, to me, it's binary as fuck, and it's going to have Twitter divided. This fight is. So you've either got Vieira by his submission, because we've seen Petrosyan get taken down. He was ridden by Borello for like 3 rounds. He just couldn't get the sub. Obviously, if Vieira's in that position, he's going to get the submission. And then on the other side, you've got Petrosyan, probably TKO 2-3. I don't think it gets more complicated than that. I'm on the Petrosyan side. I love the cardio. I love the volume. I like the fact he's educated in his strikes, kicks, goes to the body. And yeah, when he sees someone slowing down, man, I can see him putting it on him. And you know what's funny? When I was watching him, I was like, you know who he fights like? He fights like that Kopylov guy. And then I go to his Instagram and I find out they fucking train together. And he's fighting next week, Kopylov against Hernandez. So yeah,
that's a great fight, by the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Should we give our picks away for that one now?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't taped that far ahead, but I don't even know. Like, I try not to look too far ahead, but I am.
We'll save it. We'll save it.
I was kind of hoping if I would have gotten a better price on Kopylov there.
Yeah, so I'm Petrosyan anyway. KO 2-3 when Vieira slows down.
Okay, so we're on the same side here.
Yeah.
What makes me nervous is like you mentioned how binary this fight is, and the thing is it doesn't get more binary than this, because friend of the show, and Rich, I will tolerate no slander here. Friend of the channel. There's 2 friends of the channel I'm bringing up here, actually. Friend of the channel, Cody Brundage, for real. Like, bonked Vieira twice. And whereas I think Cody has power, he certainly doesn't have anywhere near the technique of Petrosyan. He's one-dimensional in terms of... I got to be careful what I say about Cody, because, you know, he watches this shit. It's like, he will DM me and hate me. But Cody doesn't throw a lot of kicks. He's just throwing punches. Whereas Petrosyan's striking style, can't be argued, is far more diverse. So the fact that Cody got him not once but twice at the beginning of each rounds, well, what could Petrosyan do, especially if he starts working the body with his kicks? If you think Vieira's cardio is questionable and he's eating leg kicks left and right from Petrosyan, and Petrosyan loves working the leg, like he hits all 3 targets with his kicks. It's one thing I love about him. What makes me nervous is I have been wrong about like a ton of fucking Petrosyan fights, man. Like, I had Rodriguez. That's another one where I'm like, man, I think I won, and then I lost, and I went back and I'm like, like, I don't feel like I got robbed. It's just that bias because I had a bet, like, close fight. And then I don't know what I was thinking betting fucking Leroy Duncan against this guy when, like, dude, I mean, wow, it was a horrible bet. So I'm never right with this guy. Like, I just can't get this guy right. But we're trying it again. That's why I'm nervous. It's because
you believe in law of probability, don't you?
Right. Like, well, what are they? But yeah, but it's the law of insanity. I feel like it's insanity when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I feel that the difference on the feet, I guess this is a basic kind of way to break this down, but I feel like the difference on the feet, the striking difference, is a farther gap than Vieira's like gap to take him down and keep Petrosyan down. I think Petrosyan's get-up game is underrated.
Yeah.
The only thing you worry about is if Vieira like immediately mounts him. Like that's when you worry. But I think outside of the first round, and and last thing with this is, and I forget who did it, so I can't even call the person out. And I'm glad I don't know who this is, but I got people out there saying like, dude, he's got better cardio than you think. Like, look at him against Stoltzfus, take his back in the third round. Dude, Dustin Stoltzfus stinks, man. And Stoltzfus was winning that fight. So, like, don't give me this crap. And against other friend of the channel, Chris Curtis, my personal favorite fighter of all time, for those that know anything about Lou Betcha. Dude, he shot 20 takedowns against him. Imamov was like taking down Curtis with ease. Vieira couldn't get Curtis down. And I know Curtis has pretty good takedown defense. Like, I'm not shitting on him for that. I shit on him for everything else. I'm not shitting on him for his takedown defense. But Vieira was like shooting from 6-7 feet away, winging punches nowhere near him. I think anytime he tries to shoot a takedown as he gets tired in the second and third, Petrosyan could just crush him with a knee. Wouldn't even have to be a kick. He just crush him with a knee coming right in with his head down and get him out of there. The pick is Petrosyan for me. I have bet it at -110. I'm good with it. Look, I cap him like 60-65% of the time to win.
Yeah.
I think about 65% sounds right. Because you can't rule out that Vieira could top time him and like wrap up a sub. But in a decision, I think it's Petrosyan at like a super, super, super high clip.
Well, there's a saying in there, even the squirrel gets the nut every now and again. So I think this is your one, man. Yeah. This is the one where you find the cash on him.
The broken clock is right.
That's the one.
Twice a week. But all right, we got another bet. By the way, we got 35 people in here live. Thank you guys for spending your Wednesday afternoon with myself and Rich for this out of nowhere show that was planned yesterday. So it wasn't, again, not out of nowhere. Oh boy, Rich. Let you start this one off, and then I'm gonna run to the loo. I'm trying to be cultural.
The bog,
I guess. The bog. Yeah. Oh, I like it. I like that one. We got Michael Johnson in his, I believe, 134th professional fight solely in the UFC, taking on Darius Flowers. I know that my guy Aaron the Dog and just my 2 cents. That's like a Darius Flowers channel. They love the guy. I nailed like a Matthews prop against him last time, but weird fight. And I'm just going to leave you on this note as I step away for 2 minutes. Michael Johnson is a favorite. Worrisome or no?
Yeah. Well, when I first looked at this fight, I was going to smash the Johnson line, but it seemed like a trap to me. It was too generous. So I waited for a minute, and the more I've looked into it, the more I'm staying away from it. I haven't forgot about the flaky Johnson who was losing to Clay Guida, Darren Elkins. Yeah, he's had a bit of resurgence lately, but I think they were favorable matchups. So I still think he's got that flake in him. And Darius Flowers, I just don't think he's that good. He's dropping a weight class. I think that's good for him. It shows a bit of commitment. But in terms of skill set and the process and the way he fights, he's not that great. The numbers are all over the place. I see the lines coming back in on Johnson now. If I was going to bet anything on this fight, if I had to touch something, I would bet Flowers by submission, which goes against everything I feel about this fight because, in all honesty, Johnson's still got fast hands, and he should sleep Flowers in round 1, to be honest. But I don't trust him. The line's super suspect. So Flowers submission plus 1,000. Quarter of a unit. That's the way I'd go, just to have some action on the fight rather than take a smoke break. Yeah, that's my official play. Flowers sub plus 1,000.
Yeah, so I definitely have a bet I'm going to do when the market opens up. And welcome to the channel, Rich. This is your first Yam Bag special.
Oh, really?
That's the only way to bet this fight is that somebody's going to get kicked in the fucking sack. This is the perfect fight for that. Because Johnson, it's like, dude, his variance is all over the place. These results, man. Like, the guys look so good. He's looked so bad. What's funny to me, and it's not relevant for this fight, but like, I always bring it up with Johnson, is like this Diakese fight where Diakese absolutely should have fucking just decisioned him. Then he fights like an idiot, like a complete idiot. And Diakese throws no volume, and he just let Johnson kind of like pepper him. And like, look, that's the best Johnson's probably looked in a long time. How do you beat Darius Flowers? You take him down and you submit him. Well, Michael Johnson's not taking him. I think Michael Johnson's last sub was like 2010, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I think I looked, and I think it was 2010 was his last submission. So let's assume this is mostly on the feet. If anybody goes for grappling exchanges, I would assume it would be Flowers.
100%.
So your sub idea at a wild number is not like crazy inconceivable, because what does a sub prop at 10-1 take? It takes two things. It takes Flowers going for a takedown and Johnson doing something stupid. Well, Johnson doing something stupid alone is capped at like minus 600. So you're halfway there. I mean, all you need is a takedown, and Johnson, look, he's shop worn, he's older. You mentioned Flowers dropping down. I think that's a hugely important thing here. It's a younger guy. He's going to be, I don't want to say he's going to be in better shape, because I'm not trying to shit on Michael Johnson, like, and his conditioning, but certainly the wars over the years have taken a toll, like the Malarkey fight. Like, dude, he took it, that was a crazy
gym war too, man. Always in the gym, fucking banging.
Yeah. So like, I don't like, aside from like the meme bet of Yambags here, I'd say it's dog or pass. But like, I think this is a fight. I don't need, like, quarter unit on a prop is fine. I don't think you need any kind of heavy investment here. And if anybody has a read, leave it in the comments, like a stronger read. Cause like, I didn't go back and forth more than I avoided breaking it. Like, I avoided writing this fight up until this morning. This is the last one I did, because I was like, what do you say about this? Like,
yeah, there was no tape needed. I know what Johnson's about. All I needed to check was a couple of regional fights for Flowers. And yeah, he goes for takedowns every time. His process isn't good, but he's awkward as fuck, man. They throw a few strikes, try and take you down. He's a bit chaotic, and that's hard to fight against, man, when Johnson just wants a sparring match. And yeah, it's going to be a weird one.
It's going to be such a weird fight. Like, and this is one also, if you're going to do the quarter sprinkle if I'm going to do a little sprinkle on the Yambags, I mean, I got to do a little sprinkle on the draw. Like, I'm going to have to, dude. Like, I'm going to have to. And then, like, cool. If I want to look, if I lose fucking $10,
yeah,
because I bet some stupid shit, dude, Rich, I make that in a week. $10 is nothing to me. It's nothing to me. So yeah, I'll take my chances.
I like to have action on every fight, pretty much, man.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be heavy action. It could be just a nickel.
Yeah,
which is what a steak dinner cost in my day. A nickel.
Yeah, a pound.
Okay, so when we talked about this fight earlier, I had the wrong Brad. I was talking about Brad Rydell and not Brad Tavares. Meant to tell you that about retirement talk. Middleweight fight, Brad Tavares against Gregory Rodriguez. I will start this one off. So I like the G-Rod side here. I like it quite a bit. And I like the in the distance prop. I said to you, it's probably going to be 160. It was 150. So close guess. Price is Right rules say I lose. I went over. It's all right. How do you beat Gregory Rodriguez traditionally? There's two ways. You're either a volume machine that stays on the front foot, or you have absolutely destructive, sick power. Ferreira cracked him once, set it up nicely, cracked him once, put him out. Chidi, very easily make an argument that fight should have been stopped in the first round, since his fucking head was split open. You could see bone, man. That's how you beat Rodriguez. Now, he's incredibly frustrating to bet, because the grappling path is going to be there in this fight. Will he do it? Probably not. He should, but he won't. But I do think he wins all the big moments. I mean, Tavares is like a volume guy. I don't see him having big power to put Rodriguez out. I do have to say, I qualify it by saying, look, man, Rodriguez has been a ton of wars, and recently. So everybody's chin goes at some point. And Tavares' boxing is good. I just don't know he has one-shot power. But if you look at Tavares's, and this is one thing I wanted to pull up. Now, I'm not Wheezy with the stats, because Wheezy is stat champion. But every once in a while, I like to use stats here. the amount of strikes this guy throws is not how you beat Rodriguez. He had 70 against Weidman, who was a statue coming back from one of the more horrific injuries that you obviously. I did cash the Uriah Hall KO ticket in that fight. Just a little saying, you know what I'm saying. But before that, forget about the Bruno Silva fight. He got KO'd. Duplessis was an absolute war, and Duplessis fought that kind of style. That volume was great. 84 against Akhmedov. Not bad. Probably not enough to beat Rodriguez in this spot. But then before that, man, 54 against Shoeface, which is terrible. 3 against Shabazian before he killed him. 46 against Jotko, who is not a big volume guy. Like, he's just not throwing enough strikes for me to be the kind of stylistic fighter that beats Rodriguez. So I like Rodriguez as a parlay piece. I think, like I said, if there's any big moments in this fight, it's coming from the Rodriguez side. But I do worry a little bit about the wars. And if the G-Rod in the distance scares you off, I think the under the fight doesn't go is a good way to pivot off that. You do get that win condition if Rodriguez's chin is just really starting to go. But what do you think about this one?
When was Brad's last KO win, man? What I feel like it was a while back now.
Let me see. It was Jotko in about 6 years ago. So he's due.
Yeah, he's due. I just don't think it's going to be this one. Maybe on the regionals when he gets cut from the UFC after this one. I'm RoboCop. I'm with you, man. Too many wars for Brad. And I can't remember whether it was you or Liam, or it might have been someone completely different, but they brought up about Brad and retirement talk previously.
That was me. I had the wrong Brad.
Oh, right. So it was Riddell.
I was talking about Riddell, and I'm like, I'll find it. And then I looked, and I'm like, shit.
Well, that changes everything.
No, you know what I read? It was Tavares talking about Weidman shouldn't retire.
Oh, right.
But Riddell has definitely talked about stepping back. And he has a fight. And doesn't he have a fight coming up? I think this is where I confused it. Riddell is facing Thiago Moises next month. That's where I'm just letting you know, this is where I got my wires crossed.
Well, I won't give you coming up. I won't give you any shit for it because I was looking at next week's card and Andrea Lee's fighting Maverick, and I thought it was fucking Macy Barber, and I was about to place a fucking bet on it until I realized it was Maverick, and I was like, fuck that. So, yeah, I'm off Rodriguez then. You know, that retirement talk kind of had me swayed for a Rodriguez ITD, but I'm completely off it, man. I don't want to know. I've got a lot of action on other fights, but yeah, Rodriguez may be a decision, but either way, his money line's good. I don't think Brad's got the fire in him anymore. He's kind of just reactive in there, not active, you know, taking what people give him and just countering back. The Weidman fight was a bad look. Weidman even won a round in that fight, man. I think it was round 2.
By doing nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So, yeah, Rodriguez all day for me, man.
Look, I like Weidman, but like, come on.
Yeah, please retire Weidman, please. Like, he's a good analyst, man. Funny guy.
Everybody loves him. Like, if he wants to just be a coach, if you want, like, dude, he has a lot of career paths. Like, he's not getting the title again. He's not getting close to the title again. Like, he's got nothing to gain. Not only that, but like, dude, so many of us, like, anybody's watched the sport a long time, like, you have a fondness for him, dude. He did the impossible. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And then, of course, like, the weirdest full circle shit ever with the leg break and like, if I'm Uriah Hall, I'm never throwing a leg kick the rest of my life because, like, this might be a curse, dude.
Yeah, wild times, man.
So we got 3 fights left. More than 40 of you in the chat right now. Thank you guys so much. Please hit the like if you can. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like and subscribe Rich's new video and his channel also. We are moving on to, I really wanted to give out yam bags for this, but I don't think it goes long enough. Ihor Peteria as a plus 170 dog. The comeback on Brychak is minus 195. The under is just an absurd number. Rich, take this one away so you can lead off the main event because I do have a weird play here that I like.
This is like the weirdest fucking card ever. It's like an OAP card, a bunch of 35, 38-year-olds.
This is third from the top, this fight, Rich. Yeah. This is the third fight from the top.
It's on an ESPN card, which is notorious for like, you know, a show out card for people. You know, these up and comers you want to highlight, like Joe Pyfer. But then you stick fucking Bob Brzeski on here, 33-year-old Pole making his debut. It's like, what the fuck, man? He ain't up to much, to be honest. This should be called the steroid fight because they're both fucking juiced as fuck. The only play I'm interested in is I'll play the Polish by submission. It's 1,800. Although he has no subs on his record, I know them fucking Euro people like to grapple over in Poland and whatnot, you know, the Jambla Hokic fucking type people. So 1,800 is crazy. It could be a club and sub. I think Ihor is a bit pathetic on the ground, to be honest. So maybe he completely shocks us, man, and just employs that game plan. Maybe he's actually done his due diligence and watched the fucking tape. But if he stands with Pretoria, man, I think Pretoria's got the faster hands and he could find himself in trouble, you know. Octagon jitters, you're on the main card. So, yeah, man, you got to be careful in this one. I'm not confident enough to lay the money line on either of these fuckers. So I'm going to take the submission, 1,800. I'll put $20 on it.
Woo! Somehow you have a bigger prop than me, and I didn't think that was going to happen on this one. Look, man, Brzeski's every fucking Contender Series guy I've ever seen, except he's not from Brazil. He's just to the tits, just like the under. He's round one. I mean, dude, it's a craziness precision machine, and all of a sudden he wasn't. It's like nothing to see here.
Yeah.
The one dude he fought, Kike Brito, is the only guy that he fought that I think had the power to really come back at him, and he lost. I think a lot of these guys in the regionals, like, they're kind of more well-rounded. They got grappling. Like, Lee Chadwick is not fucking, you're not worried about Lee Chadwick knocking you out.
Chadwick's a grappler, man.
Yeah, you're not, that's what I'm saying is, so he's not facing guys that he's really worried about, like, getting countered. So he can just employ, like, a bum rush forward and, like, go for it. I think he's got to be careful here. I think he's got to minus P's and Q's. But the one thing that I like the most here, and look, Peteria is, I'm not saying Terry is good. I'm not saying he's whatever, but he's got experience. He's faced better. I mean, I think Olberg is better than Brzeski. And I don't love Olberg, but Olberg's certainly way more diverse in terms of the striking. Absolutely. And he's a monster. Olberg just looks like a fucking monster. And he's not on steroids somehow. At least I don't think he is. But he just looks like a monster compared to most of these guys. What does Brzeski look like out of the first round? What if Peteria survives the first? Again, you don't want a minus 200 ticket on this debut guy on a main card. So I didn't play the sub, but Peteria round 2 is like 1,100. Because if this thing gets to the second, you're going to get an adrenaline dump like from Brzeski, and all of a sudden Peteria, dude, I mean, again, Peteria's not some cardio master, but you got to think he's going to be the A side after one round here. If he survived the first, unless they just stood there for 5 minutes and did nothing.
That's what I was going to say. And that could happen, man.
Well, look, we've seen it before. You get two dudes with some great power. Last thing, unless I missed it on his tape, has Brzeski faced a southpaw?
Pass. I can't answer that.
I didn't see him facing any southpaws. So just something else to consider here. It's a different look that he's not used to. If Peteria's got one good thing, he's got a big left hand. So we'll see, man. I think this is interesting. This may actually be one of the very few fights I live bet after like 1 minute.
He's a rangy fucker too, Ihor.
Yeah, and he looks like all his like social media pictures look like he's a 12-year-old going to Disneyland for the first time. He's like this wide-eyed smile, like goofy fucking hats, and he's hanging out with fighters. Yeah, like he's so weird.
Did you see the nun on the Vegas Strip?
Yes.
That was cool.
He's so ridiculous. There we go. There's my partner on Thursday night show, Mr. Monk Maddox, coming in here. No, Yambags is Johnson and Darius Flowers. I don't think this fight really is going to go long enough, unless it's like last week. Look, was Kizriev and Murdoch officially a Yambags win? No. Am I counting it as a win? You better fucking believe it. It's like a 5-second DQ. That's Yambags as far as I'm concerned. That's a fucking win for me.
Well, I had Kiziev as much as the week, and I counted it as a win instead of
absolutely it's a win.
Yeah,
absolutely you count that as a win. And if you guys are not following Rich on Twitter, as much as the weeks have been, dude's fucking on it, man. I don't know if Dalby's the one that like really started it, but I think that's where the legend grew.
Yeah,
that's where the legend really grew.
That was the one where I put the big breakdown and really put it out there. So it could have gone one or two ways, and it went the non-retarded way. So
well, I know at least one other person in the community that was also on the Dalby side.
You
so
did. Props to Lou.
You and I, like early that week, I'm like, you're never betting Bonfim at this price ever.
Do you know what's crazy? Ever. Nobody's fucking learned from that fight, man. They're still doing the same shit with these debutantes, big chalk, but Mike Mellott.
I mean, like I'm talking about betting Prates KO, so like I haven't fully learned, but in that bet, that's more of a fade against like what I think is Giles diminishing chin. But to your point, I get it. Like you don't want any part of that, and I understand it. But co-main event, featherweight, one of my favorites of all time, Dan Egay, -170 against Andre Touchy-Feely, +145. Under 2.5 is +155. I will make this short and sweet. I think this is going to be 15 minutes on the feet. I think the guys that have troubled Egay the most are the ones that are just super proactive grapplers. Korean Zombie enacting that plan and doing it really, really well. Bryce Mitchell in a fight that could have gone either way. Bryce Mitchell was definitely busted up. I love Egay in the spot in a 15-minute war. He's the crisper boxer. He's the more durable guy. He's going to win the bigger moments. Fili's going to dance around like a monkey, and it's called martial arts. And I like Fili. But before we get to your breakdown, so I like Egay here, and I like Egay to find the button. I like the KO, just like my guy Subhumans got in the chat. You and I talked about this one way early in the week. I'm like, why is this KO line so low? Like, I think Egay is going to or why is it so wide? I think Egay is going to find the button here. That's my whole breakdown for the fight. So before I pass it on to you, I want to ask you a question that I had written down. So I am also a Bill Algeo guy. He's like local. He doesn't live far from me. The gym he owns. Dude, he got trained by like a dude I graduated high school with. So I have like some connections to Algeo. In the Algeo Fili fight, and I had the split decision prop, so like I clearly loved how it played out. A lot of people were complaining that Algeo was given 10-9 in the third by, I don't know what judge gave it to him. And he had a broken arm, but he had his back taken for pretty much the whole round. And Algeo was just, Fili didn't do anything, and Algeo was just landing every shot, but again, had his back taken. So how do you feel about rounds being scored like that? Because, as we've leaned into damage being more important, he clearly did the more damage in that round, but it's still weird optics. So, what do you think about rounds being scored like that? Do you have a problem with that? Do you think it should happen more often? Like rounds off your back even? What do you think?
Yeah, specifically that situation. If someone's got your back for a whole round, but they ain't doing dick with it, they're just riding the backpack like a Aljamain Sterling, but yet the other person's literally fucking, punching them in the face. I guess I give it to the guy who's in control, the guy who's forcing the situation. So I would score it as a Fili round, but I fucking hate to see it, man. It's my pet hate. These people like Joe Selecki, I'm going to pick on him because I can't think of the rest. My mind's gone blank. But these people who literally
Selecki's a good example for this.
Yeah, they just want the takedown in a fight. Their strikes are just to set up the takedown and get in distance. I hate them, man. This is MMA. Be diverse, Ryan Hall, he was another one.
Well, Ryan Hall going for Umamari rolls from against Topuria. He did it against Topuria for 4 minutes until it was just stop it, bang, knock it on, done. Yeah,
it's
I know.
Disgusting to see, man. But it's funny that how far the game's come, man. Dalby put a question to Mark Goodhart after last week. Who was it, man? When they kept telling him to get up. Moicano versus Dober. When Mark Smith kept saying, improve, improve. He was working for a fucking arm triangle on mount, man. So I hate to see that shit. It's show some...
Especially in a war. That was a bloody war where they... Yeah, that's... Dude, Moicano
wasn't... You got some monk in your ear telling you fucking...
Dude, Moicano wasn't trying to chew up the clock. Dude, exactly. Dober was doing a good job, with his feet, keeping Moicano from getting good positions. You can't reward Dober... you can't reward Dober for doing good defense. It's like saying, like, I take care of my kids. Well, don't get rewarded. You should be taking care of it. Like, Dober should be defending. If Moicano, there's a difference between Moicano laying there and doing nothing. Like, I agree with you 100% here.
They do it with the fence as well. If someone's about to get taken down, they haven't touched the fence yet. And all you hear from the ref is, don't touch that fence. It's like, they know the fucking rules. You've warned them prior to the fight. Wait until he actually does it and just take a point. But they're like, they wait for him to grab the fence and then they just say it again rather than take the point. It's just so many inconsistencies in the reffing, man. I can go on about it all day.
Post-fight speech was great, though. I was here for that. But
legendary.
What's your opinion on Egay, Fili, and do you have a better?
I'd say be careful going for the KO because I like the sub and the number for Egay. He hasn't had a sub for a minute, 1100. Don't forget, man, he's a beast on the ground. Fili's been subbed a couple of times. And like you say, Fili's going to skirt on the outside, avoid the fight, hit and run, throw some kicks. He's not going to implement any grappling, I'd imagine. If he does, he's an idiot because they get subbed by Egay. So that doesn't bode well for the KO for Egay. So I'd like to see Egay push some grappling. I think he will. Small cage, short notice for Fili. And I'm definitely going to have some on that 1100 sub prop for Egay. But also the ITD because I don't want to get burnt. I'd advise people who are taking the KO to do the same, man, because, yeah, you don't want to get fucked on that.
I did see somebody who I respect a lot that has a touchy decision-only prop, which I thought was kind of interesting because, I mean, like, if you're just playing into Egay's legendary, like, toughness, like, I don't really hate that it's an interesting way to play him. And at minus 180, I don't think it's, like, terribly juicy for that. So, yeah, thought that was kind of interesting. But we will move on to our main event of the evening. I'm kind of upset I only got to use the banner once today, but Rich, you'll be back, and you'll be back, and I won't delete it. I'll just keep it.
Set me up for something, man. I'm ready to go.
I will. We'll do a prop show one of these days too. But so we got Jack the Joker Hermansson against Joe Pyfer in the main event. Pyfer's a 2.5 to 1 favorite here, under 2.5, minus 155. It's obvious what they're trying to do for Pyfer, but it is a big step up. So what do you got on this one, Rich?
Yeah, just before we came on the show, I seen somebody put their big breakdown out publicly on Twitter, and I just disagreed with every point. They was advocating a play on Jack. I don't advise it to anybody. I think this is a smash spot for Pyfer, similar to Molly last week against Belbita. You know, that was a smash spot as well. I think the submission prop is wide for Joe. I don't know why you've got the KO at like plus 150, 130, and then you got the submission at 500 when it should be pretty much split. It's 50-50, man. You know, he could club and sub him. He could go for a double leg and get the submission. But yeah, I agree. He could KO him on the feet. But when you've got two props and they vary that much, no. And they vary that much, I'd rather go with the bigger prop, man.
There's a lot of locks, though.
Yeah, it's true. Dana bought the fucker a house. You know, they're giving him his main event here against Jack, someone who's 35, coming off an injury, digressing in fights, doesn't have power in his hands. Jack sub or bust. Pyfer's going to win. I imagine it's going to be sub 2-3.
Breaking news. Chelsea is up 1-0 in the 12th minute.
Whoop, whoop.
Connor Gallagher. Dude, Sterling. When does Sterling score? Since he left Man City. He runs like he's got a carrot up his butt, and he's really good at missing the target from 4 feet away. For that and more footy takes, follow me on Twitter at LouBetcha.com. You and I talked about this a little bit too. So if you like Pyfer, and I do in this spot, then I said you probably want to take him like I think Glenn has the right idea here at this Joe and under 2.5. You could play him round 1 through round 3 as well. I saw that. It really just depends. See, Subhuman knows. He's another guy like us. I think you want to take Joe rounds 1 through 3. And the reason I say that is if it hasn't happened by then, because Joe's not like, he just needs one shot. But if this fight gets late, then what happened? Either there's some weird grappling exchanges where they're kind of bouncing each other out, or Hermansson got the leg kicks going and kind of confused Pyfer and just kept them at distance. Look, I think that Hermansson's, you're getting that it's diminishing at this point in his career. Like the Curtis win was good because Chris Curtis, who I can't stress enough is my favorite fighter of all time.
Is this irony, by the way?
I just can't stress it enough. Dude, I've challenged him to a fight like 17 times. But not a cage fight. He'd kill me. I'm talking about like a Philly street fight where I can use like a cheese grater and like a bar stool. Like put it in my world and like, let's see. I'm like plus 180 in a bar fight against him. I'll tell you that right now. I'm crafty. I'm meaner than he is. But against Curtis, that's the thing about Hermansson. I like his fight IQ, and he fought well, and he made it ugly and he made it boring, but he did it to perfection. So what I worry about here is because Pyfer is not some high volume guy, that maybe that's the game plan here for Hermansson. Kick, 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 run away, make it boring, try to frustrate Pyfer. It's the best guy he's faced by a mile. It's not the most dangerous guy. And that's where I worry. If this is just a more dangerous guy and Pyfer's like, fuck it, let's go, I trust Pyfer's power. I know he's been KO'd twice, but I just trust him to go out there and be like, fuck this guy. Or to your point, if the dude's that like Al Hassan, just throw him on the ground and take a different path of resistance. I don't know if Pyfer at first will be proactive to go for takedowns against Hermansson. I think he'll just want to test the chin. But after the first round, if he's just not getting in range, I could very easily see him going for takedowns here. Obviously, it's a more dangerous world. Hermansson's, not horrible on the ground by any means. But I think that Pyfer is certainly more explosive and definitely goes for submissions. Like Hermansson's more like position over submission kind of guy at this point. Pyfer's like, where's your neck? Like, let's fucking go. I'm done dicking around. So I like Pyfer in the first few rounds here. It's a setup fight by the UFC. I don't always love that, but sometimes, dude, you just gotta. Doesn't always work out for him either. But Pyfer does seem like he's passing every test to this point, and I think this is another one he passes. And who knows? What do you think his upside is? The top 5? Do you think he's a champion one day? Like, what do you think is the ceiling for him?
I don't think he'll be champ. I don't think he'll get there, but I do think he is going to get all the push from Dana, and they are going to give him every opportunity to shine. It's certainly break into the top 10, I feel. And this is the road to it, man. Take Jack out, take his number, bump him up a couple of points, man. But yeah, I'd say with what you were saying earlier, man, I think it's just overstated. People are over complicating this. The later rounds, what about the cardio, Jack and all this? I tell you what, Jack is going to employ the Chris Curtis game plan. He is going to be a bitch. He is going to hit and run. And full disclosure, I max bet Hermansson in that fight against Curtis, because Curtis, if anything, is predictable as fuck. The same thing, stay in the middle of the cage, counter, doesn't adapt, no leg kicks, no offensive wrestling, etc., etc. But Joe's different, man. He adapts in fights. He showed that in the Halasan fight when he was getting calf kicked. He adapts well. He's got good IQ. It's the small cage, which benefits him as well. The only shot I give Jack, and this is where we disagree, I think his subs are opportunistic ones. He can put on a guillotine on the double leg. So Pyfer has got to be careful of that. But outside of that, I'd say that Pyfer's going to get on top. He's too big for him, too strong. Probably on the juice, Pyfer, I'd imagine, is a big fucker, man.
He's like a bacon and beer kind of guy.
You think so?
Yeah. From everything I've heard, I mean, because, dude, he's like the stuff of legends in the area. People love when, a Philly guy does well. Nah, he's I think he's like an eat 6 burgers and drink a Coors, a Budweiser guy more than
Is he from Philly?
From the burbs, which is
okay.
Good enough. But
okay.
But he's Marquez MMA guy. So, they're all and did you look at those guys like Sabatini and Brady? They're all good shape, but none of them are really standing out physique wise. None of them are jacked. It's more I wonder if they do the handlebar mustaches and lift the triangle weights, like they did in the 1700s, the medieval time is before 1700s, but
yeah,
I think it's a good fight. It's a fun fight. And
sure.
I do think if Pyfer is he could be a bit sloppy on the ground if he doesn't mean to. If he's going for a choke and he's out of position, I could see Hermansson kind of taking advantage of that.
I like his top game, man. I think it's literally going to be another head and arm choke from top, man. I think he's got. We've seen in the and don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing Joe Pyfer to fucking Chimaev, but when Chimaev had that wrestling match with Jack, the metrics mattered a lot, man. Jack was just too small, and I think that Dana and the UFC recognized that, And yeah, I just think Joe's too big, man. So when they do get into them grapple exchanges, man, size definitely matters. And I think once Joe's on top, it's a wrap, man.
I'll tell my girlfriend that size matters.
I knew he was going there.
Please and thank you. But we have covered the card. So now I know it's not Monk. Because every time Monk and I do a show, our show goes like an hour and 15 minutes. And it doesn't matter what the card is. Doesn't matter. And I'm looking and it's like we're literally at the hour and 15 mark right now. So maybe it's me. Maybe I'm terrible. I don't know.
I think that's an average.
Unless it's with Liam. And then I know the show's going like 2.5 hours. Ah! Shout out to my guy Liam, one of my favorites, obviously in the space. The only thing I need to steal from Liam more often is the term anthropomorphic advantages. Because I love when he says that. I wanted to give
I don't know what it means.
This has nothing to do with the fights, but I wanted to give you guys a fun parlay if you like Jack Hermansson. Rich, do you have $100,000 to spare? Because if you do, you can win $34,550,000 on this play. It's Hermansson round 5. Phil Tits to score and Jizz Hornkamp to score. Jizz Tits Joker parlay, dude.
I'll leave that to you, man.
Yeah. I moved the Jizz Hornkamp line, dude. He's plus 175 now. The Tits line is still the same. Thank God the Tits line. You don't like when the Tits line drops, dude. That's bad.
Saying that, you told me to get on the footy last week and I ignored you and you fucking smashed it. So
well, the 1 week, oh, dude, I went like 10-1, dude. I was just like, I'm like doing the heat check bets at 3 o'clock. I'm like, I'll fucking bet this.
The squirrel got the nut, man.
I don't know what happened. I know. So fade me. So I am a fade candidate this week because it ain't happened in 2 weeks in a row. Oh, that's another dude. Him and I both. We were like, how, dude? He's hitting every goal scorer bet. I'm hitting nonsense, dude. It happens, man. The broken clock. But that is it. We have wrapped up this entire card. Rich, this was my pleasure, my friend. Thank you. You will definitely be back, I hope.
Good
Unless
stuff.
I've we'll see what I do afterwards in editing when I'm like, why is he insulting me? No. Tell the people where to find you, what you're doing, your Twitter, all that cool, fun stuff.
Yeah, Twitter. I got a Patreon going. It's fucking $3 a week, man. You get all my bets. You get a Discord group where we live bet. Check it out. Link in the bio. Short and sweet.
Very efficient. Definitely check out his show every week. Again, you have no excuse to. It's so short. He nails every fight. Funny to watch. He's not boring. You can find me here tomorrow night at midnight for my usual show with Monk. We do the DFS. I will have settled in on my bets at that point. At that point, I'm pretty much, except for like anything I'm waiting for on the scale, which is probably just the Kwamba fight. Because I also the market, like again, I don't really have a rush to get to him because I think the number is going to move in our favor. But that's all I got. Guys in the chat, thank you so much for spending your day with us. And we will see you soon. Take care, guys.
Respect, man.